Welcome back to SPEAK Mentorship. We are glad you completed your SPEAK Mentorship application. By now, you should have conducted your mentor screening call. You are now moving further through the onboarding and training process. Creating your SPEAK Mentorship work plan. This presentation will guide you through creating your work plan so that you are prepared before your mentoring round. You must submit this work plan before you can begin your mentoring round. We hope that you take this step seriously so that your mentee can benefit greatly from your mentoring round and your relationship. SAW, S-A-W, Skills Acquisition Worksheet. The Skills Acquisition Worksheet asks you to identify 3 important skills you possess that allow you to be successful at your career. You will write down 2 recent situations of how that skill was used in a task or experience. Each week, you will teach a component skill of that skill. Finally, in the 4th session of each month, you will conduct a TOA, test of acquisition of that particular skill. This test will allow you to gauge how well your mentee proves to you and herself that she has acquired that skill, and she does not have to show mastery, but be able to understand the component skills and how and when to use that particular skill. This diagram shows the first focus area, skills transference. As you see, your mentoring round will be broken up into 3 different blocks of 4 weeks each. The first block will teach skill 1. The second block will teach skill 2. The third block of 4 weeks will teach skill 3. The first 3 weeks in each block are broken down into 3 component skills. The 4th week of each block is the test of acquisition. Let's now take a look at an example. This mentor has identified skill 1 as public speaking. They have also identified 2 different situations in which they have used public speaking in their particular field and position. Towards the bottom, the mentor has listed 3 different component skills that they feel make up public speaking. Finally, we see a small yet feasible test of acquisition. Situation 1 reads, last week I gave a presentation at a meeting with 15 people. I had to present a PowerPoint about a new product idea. There were many people above me in rank in the room, so I had to be confident and know what I was presenting while also maintaining a strong presence during the presentation so they see the value in my idea. Public speaking is very useful when you are leading a meeting. My superior said the company would be considering my new product, and that was great news. Situation 2. I often accompany the marketing team to conferences for our product launches. We have to present to a variety of audiences, and it is important to change the tone, decibel, and content of your speech in order to keep the audience engaged. I went to a conference last year where we first met with different people who had approached our booths, and I made direct eye contact with the people who spoke with me, shook their hand, remembered to have good posture, and also positioned myself in between the person and the product in an open stance so that the prospective buyer had a good view of the product. It is important to practice public speaking skills with different types of audiences. Through these situations, we see clearly how the mentor used public speaking within different contexts. The mentor also provides different outcomes. It is important to write down the outcomes so that the mentee is engaged and can see how the public speaking skill can be utilized for themselves and how it can lead to a particular outcome for themselves. Component skill 1 has been identified as eye contact. Component skill 2 has been identified as pausing for effect. Component 3 has been identified as clarity in speech. Your component skills may not be the same across all mentors. However, it is important that you identify feasible and teachable component skills so that the mentee is able to understand just some of the skills required to be able to do the larger skill that you are trying to teach and transfer. The test of acquisition reads, the mentee will present a 2-minute speech on what she has learned about my career field and the particular pathway I took to get to where I am. She will use all of the component skills we will have practiced during the 3 weeks before the TOA. As you see, this quick, short, and feasible TOA allows the mentee to practice what she has learned. It is important that you create similar TOAs. The mentor career ecosystem. The mentor career ecosystem helps the mentee identify the ecosystem around your job, who you interact with within your working career. It also allows her to understand additional job titles within a career and a certain pathway for her to get to a job of her interest within your particular field of work. You can add more positions or less into the mentor career ecosystem diagram. This all depends on your ecosystem. We ask that you introduce these different positions over the course of your sessions, focusing mostly on sessions 2 to 11. This way, the mentee has time to look up different job titles that she encounters through you during these sessions and ask you about them periodically if she has the time until the last session. Here is the diagram that you will see about the mentor career ecosystem. Your work plan asks you to identify your superiors, your coworkers, and your direct reports. Depending on where you are within your career, you may fill in some or all of these blanks. We urge you to identify as many as possible so that the mentee is able to understand different career pathways even around your specific job title. Some of these individuals will be useful for the mentee to connect with. If possible, we ask you to identify certain individuals who may be willing to give their time to connect with the mentee. If they are, set up an email introduction. Allow the mentee to practice her email and communication skills. This is also a good way for the mentee to practice networking and network building. Social connections. You serve as the first social connection for each mentee. Individuals within your job ecosystem or within your network you feel the mentee should somehow connect with will serve as a second social connection. As mentioned, usually an email connection would suffice since we want these girls to be able to improve their email communication. This is the diagram the mentee sees for social connections 1 and 2. As mentioned, you serve as the first social connection, and on the left, the mentee will write down the information for you. On the right, if possible, the mentee will write down the contact information for 3 different connections within your social network. We urge you to take this step seriously. If people are willing to give their time, do connect the mentee so that she may work on her networking skills and network development. We know that with each new connection, the mentee will be able to develop the opportunities she has towards success. These 2 social connections serve as the end of your work plan. However, there is more information that we want you to consider filling in before starting your mentoring round. Social impact. The third social connection is the social impact the mentees will have and the people they will interact with when giving back to their community. Once you've been matched with your mentee, and you better understand her location and community, you may be able to recommend an organization similar to the organization you are passionate about so she can volunteer for a similar mission during your time with her. It allows you to connect with a mentee on another level. You were already asked to identify an organization within your mentoring application. We hope you find an organization that has a similar mission local to your mentee's school. This is the diagram around social impact that the mentee sees. The mentee will write down the organization name that you recommend, will further look into their mission, and if they are able to provide their time, they will write down the tasks that they have accomplished. This way, the mentee is able to walk away with a strong artifact of the work that they have done for each organization. Moreover, we want you to talk about your journey. You serve as a primary role model, and it is important that the mentee learn more about you through this entire process. Address the 3 focus areas: skills transference, career ecosystem, and social connections, using them to help the mentee better understand who you are and what you do and how you got to doing what you do. For those culturally similar mentors, identify opportunities where you can address biculturalism and how it played a role in choosing your career pathway. Make sure the mentee has pride in her dual cultures. It is important that they see a success story in you, someone who has successfully navigated biculturalism and has seen success within their career choice. Additionally, you may want to discuss different types of schools covering locations, pre-career programs, size of school, rank of schools. Discuss with your mentee the type of school you went to, the pros and cons for you, the requirements of that particular school, financial cost, access to opportunity. These are all important issues to cover during this particular type of mentoring that we value at SPEAK Mentorship. Each week, you'll be asked to submit weekly reflections. These reflections will allow us to get to know how your mentoring is going. Please submit these reflections to info@speakmentorship.org using the subject header, your full name, comma, the mentee's name, comma, the session number. Each week, you will also connect in weekly check-ins. This allows us to gauge where you are in the process, whether you have any questions, and allows us to support you further in the mentoring process. The format of the weekly reflections, which can be a point of discussion in the weekly check-ins, will be as follows. The 2 paragraphs should cover what you discussed in the session, skill, component, discussion. The 2nd paragraph should address your thoughts and your takeaways. We want to understand how you're growing, but furthermore, we want you to understand how you're growing through the mentoring process. Write the biggest takeaway. Write the most important thing you learned in that session. This could be about yourself, your field, your mentee, or just a general takeaway. Again, this helps us understand how the mentoring sessions are going, not just for the mentee, but also for you. It also allows us to understand how you're benefiting and how you're growing from this process, and how we can further help future mentees and mentors. On behalf of the mentees and SPEAK Mentorship, I would like to personally thank you for the time that you have spent and the time that you will spend with SPEAK Mentorship. We know that each mentee you will encounter will greatly benefit from the relationship she has with you. Thank you again for your time and for your involvement with SPEAK Mentorship. The future is female.